If you've been here before, you know that at Fuckup Nights, we don't really read boring speaker bios because that sucks. And also, our speakers are going to share lots of stuff about themselves. So what we like to do is share 3 fun facts about each speaker. So, Vartika. Vartika has never bought a single piece of furniture in her whole life. I don't know how you manage that. She moved to Canada with 2 bags, which has now ballooned to a whopping 3 bags. She doesn't know and does not want to know how to buy furniture. Number 2, she was once offered 5,000 camels and 10,000 bananas. It's a lot of bananas to get married to an Egyptian lawyer turned tour guide, an offer she wishes she maybe had accepted. And she actually says she doesn't have a 3rd fun fact, but I want to read what she did say because I think it's kind of cool. She says, honestly, I'm pretty boring. I keep attempting to change the world. I've built 7 products and 2 real-world startups, both of which I managed to exit, and have never survived a job for more than a year. And so now I stick to giving advice to entrepreneurs and keep making more attempts at changing the world. I think that's a fun fact. Vartika, welcome to the stage.
All right, thank you so much, Neil. You just mentioned everything that I was hiding all this while. So if you ever speak here, by the way, you must have 2 glasses of wine. My friend Nino recommended that, and it's very helpful. Okay, so my name is Vartika Manasvi. It's good for SEO. People call me V. That's how real life works. All right, so let's do it. My story is all about my attempts at trying to change the world. Sorry. I fucked up. I'm very used to it. Just that button, okay. All right, so some 10 years ago, I led a delegation of Indian entrepreneurs to Silicon Valley to try and see what entrepreneurs can learn about what's happening in the Bay Area, right? And what's the fuss about Silicon Valley? And so many men, well, they're very successful right now. Some have sold companies and they're very big people right now. And I was one among them. So we visited the offices of Facebook, LinkedIn, Y Combinator, you name it, and that inspired me to change the world. And so I came back and I left my job. So, well, that was not the fuck up, by the way. So, and I came back and I built my first real world startup called iMeYou. It was a location-based social network trying to connect strangers at coffee shops, co-working spaces, just to help one another. Oh, I don't have a mobile charger. Can someone help me? So stuff like that. We got up to 1 million users on the app. So the screen that you see on the side, we placed like LED screens at universities to acquire users and whatnot. Got 1 million users on this app, made no money, zilch. Nobody funded me. I had 0 customers, and I had no freaking idea who will ever pay for this kind of an app. While doing that, I got to a point that I was broke. I couldn't pay my rent. And I didn't know what to do with it and what next. But that was not the fuck up, guys. I met this gentleman in Bangalore. His name is Vishal. He's the managing director of NVIDIA. And I'm lucky to have NVIDIA in my life for once. So I said that, hey, I have this app, and what you need, I can do it, but I also want to, chance at figuring out what do I do with this app. Are you okay with me double timing? He was okay. And so he hired me as an entrepreneur in residence at NVIDIA. So that gave me a fancy office, free food, space, and to figure out what do I do with that app that has got 1 million users, but nobody wants to pay for it. So that's how NVIDIA happened to me. And then when I joined NVIDIA, I figured that actually nobody's going to pay for IMEU because strangers don't trust each other. And so I managed to exit the tech assets of that app. That was my very first exit. Nobody comes back and asks me how much the money that I sold it for. I managed to sell the tech assets and invest back in building a new thing called BFF, Best Friends Forever. So I built a whole new app that's based on referral, on contacts. So where people can actually know, recommend someone you know who can help someone. So like a contact-based social network. And so that's how BFF happened. But this time, I didn't want to do that in India because I was like, none of my ideas are going to work for this market. I need to go out and figure where is my market. And that's when 2018, I moved to Canada. I lived out of Airbnb, literally moved with 2 bags, no friends, no family, and I was hustling grounds up. I was volunteering. I only had literally $10,000 in bank in 6 months of time to figure out if this time around I can find paying customers. I don't want users, I want paying customers. So I volunteered at a very famous event called True North in Waterloo. And I found my first customer who paid us, who was willing to pay us $5,000 for something that BFF did, the contacts, but it was for a different purpose. Like it was not exactly buying what the product was, it was something else. And that's how StarCraft got born. I signed that contract, it just took $5,000 from that customer, and I incorporated the company. Next day, my company was not even incorporated because this time I was like, I need customers first. I don't want users anymore. And I incorporated my company next day and started working on it. I'm like, okay, we figured it. People want this. There's a genuine need, and we will make money. And that was the fuck up, guys. Okay, so now StarCraft is born. Cool app, a lot of software. Anyone can come, post a job for $500, and they can hire software engineers. Things were working out, people were buying it, I was able to sell it. A lot of customers, good rosy story. And I was in Calgary at that time. I moved to Canada on a startup visa. So I happened to be one of the first few entrepreneurs to get a startup visa in Canada. That's how my story, my Canadian journey really started. And so I was in Calgary, and this time around I was winning pitch competitions. I was there in media for, I don't know, that something just happened on its own. I had no background in recruitment, by the way. I hate HR, just so you know. So, and I was winning pitch competitions. I was there in media. It was awesome. Even COVID was good because I had main customers. No investors again this time. I was getting invited in conferences. People were talking about it. And literally, I was quoted along on media articles alongside Trump. I don't know if it's good or bad, by the way. So, I was literally coined as someone who's trying to, help people think about having a Canadian dream and how that can replace the American dream. We placed 60 H-1B engineers from the United States in Canada during COVID. It was a very high time in my life. We made a lot of money, by the way. No investors, but this thing was selling. We made money. And then I got a very big customer. We signed a contract with them, a very big Canadian company with $1 million contract who wanted to hire around 40 machine learning engineers. And they're like, hey, we don't want to use the software, but looks like you've got something figured out. Why don't you help us? And it was $1 million contract. And that was the time I realized what the fuck up was going on. I was literally the AI behind this company. So it was really a software to, show the world, post a job, but I was doing the job. So the dark realization was, if one fine day I don't wake up, my company does not exist. And so my life was like this, like a blank. And COVID happened. I was in Calgary, no friends, no family. We had customers, paying customers, but it was just me and my co-founder. And the question in front of me was, do I want to do this for the next 10 years of my life? And the answer was, fuck no. And so we started working on a path to exit. I figured I'm good at selling, if nothing but selling. I managed to sell the company to a venture studio in LA. And I moved to Toronto with my 3 bags, now 3. And now I work with entrepreneurs across the ecosystem in India, in Canada, in Europe, and occasionally invest if I think someone is trying to change the world and is as crazy as I was. And so now I help entrepreneurs not to do many fuck-ups and see things before. And so my story is all about, success at what cost? And was that really something that I wanted? I never started my companies on those grounds. I was literally trying to change the world. And life led me to a whole different thing. And I'm glad I'm out, and I'm still attempting to change the world now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vartika. That was awesome. We have time for a few questions.